Solomoni, Solomoni, Hoveli Sosha, Hovelela, Hoveli Sosha, Hovelela, Solomoni, 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 Solomon Mahlangu, Hoveli Sosha, Owabulawa, Hoveli Sosha, Owabulawa, Solomoni, Solomon Mahlangu, Solomoni, Solomoni, Hoveli Sosha, Olabulawa, Hoveli Sosha, Elabulawa, Solomoni, Solomon Mahlangu, Solomoni, Solomoni, Asam, izandla phezulu, Asam, Hoveli Sosha, Olabulawa, Asam, Hoveli Sosha, Elabulawa, Amandla, Queen TAC, Queen Matla, igama labafazi alibongwe,
igama lamakhosikazi libongwe, igama lamakhosikazi malibongwe, 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 igama lamakhosikazi libongwe, igama lamakhosikazi libongwe, malibongwe, 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 igama lamakhosikazi libongwe, igama lamakhosikazi malibongwe, 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 igama lamakhosikazi libongwe, igama lamakhosikazi malibongwe, 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 igama lamakhosikazi libongwe, igama lamakhosikazi malibongwe, 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 malibongwe 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 malibo amandla malibongwe igama lamakhosikazi amandla.
Hlala phansi. Awuhlale phansi ubambe umthetho. Awuhlale phansi ubambe umthetho. Awuhlale phansi ubambe umthetho. Hlala phansi. Hlala phansi. Hlala phansi. Hlala phansi. Sanibonani comrades and friends. Sanibonani. Ninjani. This one here have said I must sing Nkosigeleli Africa, but I don't have a good voice. So you'll just hum with me. Bathi ke bafuna le uncolonized, the first one, the real one. Niyayikhumbula? Nisayikhumbula? Asukumeke sime. Awusithi Nkosi, Nkosi sikelela. Usikelela i-Afrika uma luphakanyiswe, luphakanyiswe uphondo lwayo awuyizwa imithandazo azo yethu sibe moya munye. Anguzwa. Awusithi Nkosi, Nkosi sikelela. Usikelela i-Afrika uma luphakanyiswe, luphakanyiswe uphondo lwayo awuyizwa imithandazo azo yethu sibe moya munye. Asithi noma sekunzima, sekunzima emhlabeni awusihlukunyezwa, sihlukunyezwa kabuhlungu Nkosi sipha amandla, sipha amandla okunqoba silwe noSathane usithi noma sekunzima, sekunzima emhlabeni awusihlukunyezwa, sihlukunyezwa abuhlungu Nkosi sipha amandla, sipha amandla okunqoba silwe noSathane. Asamba phansi Sitholo, atholo lo 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 lo, phansi. Atholo lo 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 lo, atholo lo lo lo, oh lo 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 lo, ah lo 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 lo, atholo lo 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 lo. Oh lo 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 lo, how so lo ah lo hasithi noma sekonzema osekonzema emhlabeni awusihlukunyezwa sihlukunyezwa abuhlungu awunkosi sipha amandla osipha amandla okunqoba osilwe nosathande atha usithi noma sekonzema osekonzema emhlabeni awusihlukunyezwa sihlukunyezwa abuhlungu awunkosi sipha amandla osipha amandla okunqoba silwe nosathande satha amandla. Viva TAC, viva Tshabalala. Amandla! Amandla!
Anginizwa comrade.
Amandla!
Viva TAC, viva! Viva people living with HIV, viva! Viva women's, viva! Amandla! Amandla! Good evening, comrades. It's so beautiful. It's so nice to be here. Finally, this day has come. We are here. I'm Sibongile Tshabalala. I'm the National Chairperson of Treatment Action Campaign. And as a chairperson, I'd like to welcome everyone in this room and those who are watching us all over the world. I'm saying, Amandla! Comrades, I'm co-chairing this session with my General Secretary, Anele Yawa. Can you come closer, Chief? Just greet the comrades.
Amandla! 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 Amanga! 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 Amandla! All power! All power! To the people! Thanks.
Yeah, I want you to stand here. You're my guide boy today. You'll stand here like a soldier. Comrades, we have come a long way. From 1998 till 2018. We are coming from an era where people living with HIV were dying like flies. We are in an era where we have ARVs, but we still have challenges. The struggle continues. We haven't won the fight. because we are still losing so many people because of HIV-related illnesses. We are still facing challenges as people who are living with HIV. We are still facing challenges as public healthcare users. But we have victories. We have started the war. We won't finish until it's over. By those words, comrades, I would like to welcome everyone in this room. And thank everyone who made sure that you avail yourselves. We have our partners. Thank you very much for availing yourselves, and our donors. I won't call you by name because there's someone who is tasked to do that. We have our dignitaries. Thank you very much for availing yourselves. You are welcome. You are our comrades. Comrades, I don't want a long opening speech, and I haven't prepared one because I wanted a mood to guide me. As we were traveling this 20-year journey, we lost some comrades. We lost our loved ones. We won some cases. We fought denialism. We improved on treatment. There's a lot that has happened. But when we started this fight, we had an oath that as Treatment Action Campaign members, we took. So, before we start everything, I would like to call upon our Deputy General Secretary, Vuyiseka Dubula, to come to the stage and remind us the pledge that we took as people living with HIV and also as members of Treatment Action Campaign, also as public healthcare users. DJS.
Malibongwe, igama lamakhosikazi. I am going to read out a pledge that we would normally sign when we join the Treatment Action Campaign. Some of us have forgotten about it, some of us need to be reminded. But it's basically a pledge that would guide people and encourage people that are joining the Treatment Action Campaign. So as we travel the road, you know why you are a member of the Treatment Action Campaign. I would like to ask all of us to stand up as I read the pledge. It's not 5 pages, it's half a paragraph. And kindly ask all of us to repeat after me, because we are reminding ourselves of why we have a relationship with the Treatment Action Campaign. I would ask you to start after me. These are the reasons that I pledge to support the Treatment Action Campaign. I am scared and fear that tomorrow, my friends, my schoolmates, my colleagues, and everybody may have HIV. I do not have enough knowledge about treatment and care. And I want to learn more. I care about my life and the lives of my friends. Millions of people have HIV. And they will die for no reason other than the fact that treatment costs are too high. I will use my anger, my fear, knowledge, emotions, and care to win affordable treatment and care for people with HIV and AIDS. People with HIV and AIDS have a right to equality and privacy. I respect the confidentiality of every individual with HIV and AIDS. Everywhere I will encourage openness about HIV and AIDS. I might not be ready to tell others that I have HIV and AIDS. I will let them know when I am ready. I pledge time, energy, courage, and other resources to build the treatment action campaign and to struggle for access to affordable and quality health care for all. This is the end of our pledge. While we are still standing, I would like to ask all of us to spare a moment of silence to respect and recognize all the people that we have lost in the journey that we struggle for HIV and AIDS services, treatment, care, and support. Thank you. Senzeni na, yo senzeni na, senzeni na, senzeni na. Senze isono setu sono setu sono setu sono setu HIV. Amandla! We may be seated. Thank you.
Amandla! Amandla! Viva TAC, viva! Viva TAC, viva! Hayi angenizwa comrades. Viva TAC, viva! Amandla! Thank you. That's the spirit I want. Comrades, I'll ask us to watch a short video and we get some more song to bring up our energy. I know when we're taking this pledge, it reminded us where we're coming from. So, I'm not sure whether the video is ready from the back.
Weteki hawuyehene uyehete nasifuna machiza Tshabalala weteki hawuyehe uyehete nasifuna machiza weteki mbulumo asamba weteki mbulumo weteki mbulumo weteki mbulumo weteki hawuyehe uyehete nasifuna machiza weteki hawuyehe uyehete nasifuna machiza weteki mbulumo weteki mbulumo oh weteki mbulumo weteki mbulu hayibo was weteki hawuyehe uyehete nasifuna hlakaza weteki hawuyehe uyehete nasifuna machiza weteki where were you weteki usaba weteki mbulumo asamba weteki mbulumo weteki hawuyehe uyehete nasifuna machiza weteki hawuyehe uyehete nasifuna machiza weteki mbulumo ayo weteki mbulumo weteki mbulumo house weteki mbulumo house weteki hawuyehe uyehete nasifuna machiza weteki hawuyehe house uyehete nasifuna machiza focus weteki mbulumo house weteki mbulumo oh weteki mbulumo weteki mbulumo weteki hawuyehe uyehete nasifuna machiza weteki hawuyehe uyehete nasifuna machiza weteki Tshabalala weteki Tshabalala amandla amaphuna amnyama ayasenziliwari amaphuna amnyama ayasenziliwari 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 amaphuna amnyama ayasenziliwari amaphuna amnyama ayasenziliwari 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 uThabompeki ayasenziliwari lobo Thabompeki ayosenziliwari, 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 ayosenziliwari. Amandla! Qina TAC, qina! Qina TAC, qina! Awuhlale phansi ubambe umthetho. Awuhlale phansi ubambe umthetho. Hlala phansi. Hlala phansi. Usamile, hlala phansi. Hlala phansi Mpho, usamile. Hlala phansi. Chairperson.
Asibonge mfoka Mdletshe, asibonge mfana kumzulu. That's a vibe. That is us. Comrades, when we started this fight, we were not alone as Treatment Action Campaign. We had our partners. We had our colleagues. We had government officials that were supporting us openly. We had judges. We had doctors. So, even today, we are not working alone. We still have that support. Before Mark comes to the stage and acknowledge everyone who's here, I would like to send my big thank you to everyone who's been supporting TAC for 20 years. Even those who's joined us along the way, we see you, we know you, we feel you, we thank you. Amandla! 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 Mark?
Comrades, it's a very special evening this evening, and as I look around the room, I think there's something particularly unique about this gathering. I can't think of a gathering where so few people have come into a room who are responsible for saving and bettering so many lives, and all sitting in this room this evening. There are no VIPs here, although there are some very important people. But everybody who is in this room, and there could have been many more people, has helped to save life and to prevent death. And to be able to bring everybody together again after 20 years of this journey is truly something very unique and special. So I'm going to mention some of the people who are in the room. If your name is not mentioned in this first round, please don't feel overlooked or neglected. And in particular to the TAC activists who were always on the front lines of battles, we're going to talk about you a little bit later. But I want to mention some very, very special people who have come to be with us today. And when I mention them, I would like them to stand up. Dr. Haroon Saluji, if you could just stand up, is with us. Dr. Saluji was the pediatrician who in the year 2000 approached Zaki Ahmed and myself to come and visit Helen Joseph, was it Helen Joseph Coronation Hospital? And he was one of the 3 pediatricians who started an organization called Save Our Babies, which then fed into TAC and that initiated the litigation that eventually led to the famous Constitutional Court judgment on the prevention of mother-to-child transmission. Thank you very much, Haroon Saluji. One of the first people to begin treating people living with HIV in South Africa is sitting down there quietly, if she will stand up, Sister Sue Roberts. Sue Roberts was one of the first members of the AIDS Consortium. She was one of the first people who started referring people living with HIV to the AIDS Law Project when Edwin Cameron was still there. Sue Roberts was with us when Charlene Wilson died in our presence. Sue Roberts was with us when Sarah Tlatlele died in our presence. Sue Roberts was one of the first people providing antiretroviral treatment to people at the hospital where she worked. We owe an enormous debt of gratitude to Sister Sue Roberts. Thank you, Sue, for being with us. If Hazel Tao can stand up. Hazel Tao was one of the first women to live openly with HIV, one of the first people to go on to antiretroviral treatment in days when nobody had antiretroviral treatment, and her treatment was paid for by somebody else who's sitting in this room from the very beginning, but I don't know if that is public knowledge or not, so it's not. She's waving her head in the days when it was all too expensive. Hazel was also the first applicant in the TAC versus GlaxoSmithKline and Boehringer Ingelheim case. It's great to have you with us this evening, Hazel. Thank you very much. We saw a brief picture on the screens a few minutes ago of little Nkosi Johnson. Nkosi touched all of our hearts. Nkosi gave us all energy and passion and commitment. And Nkosi's mum, Gail, inspired a generation of activists and continued working to support youngsters living with HIV and mums living with HIV. Gail, thank you very much for being with us this evening. Another tragedy that helped bring TAC to life was the murder of Gugu Dlamini on the 14th of December. 4 days after TAC was formed in 1998, Gugu Dlamini was stoned to death in KwaMashu after disclosing her HIV status on a radio station. We're lucky that somebody who has traveled with us since that time is Mandisa Dlamini, Gugu's daughter, who's come from Durban to be with us this evening. For a long time, TAC was known as an organization that fought government, that fought President Thabo Mbeki and AIDS denialism, but we always made the point that we were not anti-government, that we wanted to work with government to roll out a proper antiretroviral treatment program. Those were dark days, but in 2010, well, long before she became the Director General of the Health Department, Precious Matsoso was helping the Treatment Action Campaign when she was the Registrar of Medicines to import antiretroviral medicines from Brazil and other places. Precious Matsoso, the current DG of the Health Department, is with us. TAC has had a long history of law, of using the law, of using the Constitution, and we're very privileged, I think, to have a number of the most eminent constitutionalists and lawyers and activist lawyers and judges with us this evening. I'm going to mention a basket full of them because there's a basket here and I'm taking too long, but they'll stand up briefly. First of all, I just want to acknowledge the giant of the South African AIDS movement, Justice Edwin Cameron, who I think all our roads lead back to Edwin, one way or another, in our activism. Former Deputy Chief Justice Dikgang Moseneke, we are terribly privileged to have you with us. My comrade and colleague from Section 27, Adila Hassim, who was part of the Treatment Action Campaign for many years, an activist and a lawyer. Sitting over there behind Gail Johnson, Advocate Gilbert Marcus, who was the senior counsel in the famous TAC mother-to-child transmission case. Before she became a donor, Fatima Hassan was an early member of the AIDS Law Project, a lawyer on behalf of TAC, on behalf of the movement. Fatima is also with us tonight. Thank you very much, Fatima. You see, there's a lot of people. I'm almost finished for the moment. Then I want to just acknowledge some of the, one more doctor before we leave off doctors. He's going to speak a little bit later this evening as well. But Dr. Farid Abdullah. Farid Abdullah set up the first official governmental prevention of mother-to-child transmission program in the Western Cape when the health department was still run by Mantu Tshabalala Msimang, and started providing treatment and proving that it can work. And Farid has walked the journey ever since those days and is now a TAC member of the TAC Board of Directors. Thank you very much, Farid. Then there's activists who've been with us. Sorry, one more doctor. I can't leave doctors out. Dr. Brian Brink. Has played a pioneering role throughout all of these years in the rollout of treatment, in refining treatment protocols, and so on, and so on, and so on. Now some of the activists who've been here from the beginning. Anneke Meerkotter, back there, was on the first TAC demonstration that was on the steps of St. George's Cathedral 20 years ago tomorrow, December 10th, 1998. Mikey Abrahams, were you on that demonstration? I thought so as well. Michael Abrahams, trade unionist and activist. Other people who were there from the very, very beginning, Sharon Ekambaram. I think TAC's first provincial coordinator in Gauteng province, built TAC from the very, very beginning in Gauteng in particular, with people like Pologolo Ramatwala, who I don't think is with us tonight. Sitting beside Sharon is Phumi Mtetwa. Phumi was already at the AIDS Law Project when I was imported into the AIDS Law Project. Edwin and Zaki and others had recruited her, and she's continued to be active in TAC, in gay and lesbian and queer issues throughout the whole of this time, and it's really great to see that Phumi is with us as well tonight. So thank you, Phumi. Who am I leaving out? No. Is there any of my advisors? Alice Brown. Alice Brown is on the board of Section 27. But I think one of the important things to say about Alice is that for many years she was the coordinator of the Ford Foundation, and the Ford Foundation was one of the first donors to fund the Treatment Action Campaign and the AIDS Law Project, and gave birth to all of those organizations. So, Jenny Marcus, involved in caring for people living with HIV, in NGOs and advocacy also from the very, very beginning of this struggle. I'm sure there are people whose names I've left out, and people will pass notes to me. But as I said, I think what is unique about this room and about every single person, because every single activist in here has worked for life and dignity, is that we can look back on 20 years of the Treatment Action Campaign, and we can say that there are 4.5 million people living today because of our collective efforts as a social movement. But we're also going to say that the job is not done, because AIDS is not over. Many people are still dying, and TAC needs to rebuild and find the same anger, the same passion, the same strategy, the same purpose that we had when we started the TAC way back in 1998. So I'm going to hand back to the chairpersons, and I apologize if I've... Oh no, sorry, one small matter. One other thing I was tasked to do while I'm up here, which is we got a message this afternoon which has to be read out. which was that we got a message from the President of South Africa to this gathering. We got a message from President Cyril Ramaphosa, and I will read the message out to him, out from him. He said to the leadership and members of the Treatment Action Campaign, "It is a special honor for me to have this opportunity to congratulate the TAC for 20 years of existence. The TAC, as part and parcel of the social movement, has made a lasting contribution to our society and the development of our democratic dispensation in the course of 2 decades of activism and transformation. Your activism for access to medicines and human rights has saved lives and inspired action, not only in South Africa, but in other parts of the world. In the spirit of Together We Move South Africa, TAC has grown into a vital social partner of government. TAC's living and ongoing legacy is particularly felt in your treatment literacy initiatives that empower people living with HIV to understand the medicines they are taking and to adhere to treatment directives. As we applaud and acknowledge the many ways in which TAC has had an impact on the policies and delivery of healthcare, we remain mindful of the sacrifices made by your members in the service of others. We therefore pay tribute to your members' courageous and selfless service to the nation. I am encouraged that your agenda at this 20-year anniversary will include discussions of the health system and national health insurance. Allow me to reiterate government's irrevocable commitment to making the NHI work and ultimately deliver quality healthcare to the people of our country. As the NHI gets underway, we will go ahead with a national quality improvement plan of our health delivery system, which will be rolled out concurrently with the implementation of NHI. And if I can just interrupt the President today, I haven't read the DG and others' press statement, but I see today they've announced the placing of 5,000 more doctors into the healthcare system, as was promised by the President and then by the Minister of Finance several months ago. So it's more than just a paper commitment. There is movement now to put health professionals back into the healthcare system. I am certain that the TAC will continue to lend a hand in the quality improvement initiatives in our healthcare facilities and participate in the practical implementation of the NHI. I wish you well in all of your deliberations. Happy anniversary, President Cyril Ramaphosa. Thank you.
Amandla! Awethu!
I learned that TAC doesn't just sing. Whenever they sing, there's a reason. Angithi? Bakhona base Western Cape. Ayeye Western Cape. Ayeye. Eastern Cape ukhona. KZN amandla. Mpumalanga sanibonani. Limpopo Matimba. Aina. Gauteng Matla. Free State, sanibonani. Then the Free State, they said, when they were struggling with Upeni Malakwana Bati, Buso wa pene saufetola, Buso wa pene saufetola, Asam, Buso wa pene saufetola, Buso wa pene saufetola, Harema simpa sauchis. Arema simpa siya mbisa unyele. Boso wa pene siya upentula. Boso wa pene siya ufetula. Boso wa pene siya ufetula. Boso wa pene siya ufetula. Arema simpa siya uchis. Arema simpa siya mbisa unyele. Arema simpa siya uchis. Arema pente a seu tissão nhela. Oso a pene seu fetula. Oso a pene seu fetula. Amandla! Awuhlale phansi ubambe umthetho.
Amandla! Amandla! It's good to be here. Comrades, we are continuing with our program. While we are continuing with our program, as Mark has stated that we had our partners, we had a journey that today we are going to celebrate and remember where we are coming from. Before I call Dr. Farid Abdullah, which is our board member and a supporter of TAC from the start, I will ask our team at the back to play us a video. While they're playing a video, and Dr. Farid will come to the stage.
Former and current members of TAC, congratulations on your 20th anniversary. This is Polly from iBase sending you a message of solidarity from rainy London. And as we speak, I'm working on one of our collaborative projects together, you can see. And I'm sorry that I won't be with you, and many, many congratulations, and keep up the good fight. Bye.
Greetings, comrades. My name is Amanda Lugg, and I'm a member of Health Gap and the Director of Advocacy here at African Services in Harlem. Here at African Services, we serve the African immigrant community in New York, and we wanted to say thank you. Thank you to TAC for all of the work you have done and that you continue to do, and to let you know what an inspiration you are for your African brothers and sisters here who have left for many different reasons, have had to leave their loved ones back home. Knowing that you continue to fight for the health and dignity of their loved ones is an inspiration and a comfort that is incalculable. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Have a wonderful conference. Viva TAC! Amanda!
Dr. Farid, now the stage is yours. These are messages of support from our partners. The one that you saw first, it's Polly. She's supporting us on Toluta Crave. I think most of women can relate to this, and as our struggle as women, we are calling for Toluta Crave for all. Also, the comrade from Health Gap, our international partner. Dr. Farid, the stage is yours.
Good evening. I'm going to try to keep it brief and to the point. Been spending the weekend reflecting on 20 years of the epidemic, and started writing a little bit yesterday and got completely lost. So when I think of 1998, and I hope you don't mind the personal digression, I'm happy to say that I got married to Danielle in 1998. And if you think the HIV struggle was hard, I'm sure that her struggle to put up with me for 20 years was equally hard. So we celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary this year. Now, let me get to the business. These things never work. You'll hear the story of TAC and, you know, the political story of the campaign. I just want to build up a simple picture of the evolution of HIV, the epidemic, using the best statistics we have from Tembisa, and describe what that means for how we responded in 1998 and how we need to respond now. So you know those humble beginnings on the steps of St. George's Cathedral. You know, did they ever imagine that small clutch of people in Cape Town that those were the beginnings of the largest mass-based organization in the history of healthcare. And perhaps we don't really realize that, the idea that patients or people with illnesses and diseases can challenge establishment, both government establishment, but also the medical establishment. What we've seen over the last 20 years was probably only matched globally by the rise of radical feminism and anti-establishment movements in the US in the 60s, who redefined healthcare and mental health and women's health. But we've not really seen anything like the Treatment Action Campaign on the continent. And I think that somebody must record that properly. What was unique is the alliances that were forged with clinicians, scientists, international NGOs. I mean, who would have imagined, Fatima, that you'd see Robin Wood and Linda Gale Becker standing up, holding hands and singing, "We Shall Overcome," That was what, 1985, 83, I think, at the National Congress. But by all accounts, and you'll hear more details, it was the Treatment Action Campaign that saved us from the denialism, a decade of denialism, through mass action and the courts. That was a unique contribution of the TAC to use the courts, and I'm sure that you'll hear from the experts how that set a trend. Not to forget that TAC fought the fight for affordable medicines, which is why today we can have, a single pill like a Troiza, which many of you are on, for $10 a month. It's incredible. It's unbelievable that you can get the numbers down. And we're all looking forward to go to a tenofovir, lamivudine, dolutegravir regimen soon, which will be 30 to 40% cheaper than the current regimen and 5 times better, These are incredible times. And there's so much for the people who need hepatitis treatment to learn from. My brother-in-law, Daniel's brother, had hepatitis treatment. It's a 12-week course. It's incredible drugs. His medical aid had to pay 1.5 million rand for the treatment, for a 12-week course. MSF is on its way to negotiating those prices down to $200 for a total treatment course. So lots to learn there. I better go faster. And I have four slides. We can go over that slide. And these are what I want to share with you, 1998 and now. So in 1998, there were 2.3 million people already living with HIV. But if you look at the numbers now, the household survey, which is in brackets there, estimates that number is around 8 million. And as things go, if everything stays the same with the current policies we have, South Africa is on track to have 10.5 million people living with HIV in 2030. That's a staggering statistic. The number of deaths in 1998 were a large number, and that number is around the same now, but as I'll show you in a graph, there was a huge peak in between those two periods. And if you look at the deaths cumulatively over those years, it's staggering that 3.5 million South Africans have died from HIV over this period of time. Those are numbers you can't imagine, And new infections, interestingly, in the year that TAC was formed, was at its peak at 570,000 new infections. And that's down by more than 60%. So let's just go through that. That's the numbers I showed you in that first graph. From 1985, when we recorded our first cases, through to 2017, you can see the rise. Look at that 97-99 period in the middle. That's when the TAC was formed. And clearly what was going on is that, more and more people were getting infected and announcing to others they got infected. And you can imagine the natural forces here that would lead to some sort of formation like that now. So a few things about that slide. So we have 7.4 million, as I said, the SAPSM estimates are at 7.9 million, that's in 2017. So the test and treat policy will require more than 7 million people to be on treatment by 2020. And for that, you need a functional health system that's not just mediocre or average or averagely performing, You're going to need a really well-organized machinery to be able to manage that kind of epidemic. You can already see where I'm going with my message, right? Now also, and I wanted to ask Edwin this as a question, but I didn't get it together. I mean, do you realize, Edwin, that there are more than 1 million South Africans now who living with HIV who are over the age of 50, which is when we all start to get our other conditions, right? Heart disease, all that nice food, diabetes, mental illnesses, rheumatoid arthritis, those sorts of things. So we are now seeing a body of 1 million or 2 million people with comorbidities, chronic diseases that have to be co-managed. And, you need high levels of organization. I see patients on a Friday at a tertiary hospital, and all of them have comorbidities because it's a tertiary hospital. And the organization that it requires to put people onto the right treatment and to match these things up. And there's almost no disease that antiretrovirals do not interact with the drugs that you're getting for those diseases. So there's a lot of complexity in the treatment now going forward. But in order to have that, you really need good quality services at the primary level, but you need a lot more at the regional, tertiary level. And those services, unlike the good progress with first-line treatment, are sliding horribly in the wrong direction. So we'll look at deaths. I referred to this, the number of deaths cumulatively. And if I can just say a few things about that. Next slide. I think, Lottie, you're controlling this, right? Not me. Okay. I tell you, the things we think we control. Now, 3 million deaths. There was a little study done by a master's student in the US, which estimated that around 350,000 deaths could have been avoided if the policies were changed earlier. Lee Johnson and Debbie Bradshaw and his team have redone those numbers, and they think it's more like in the region of 2.3 million deaths could have been avoided. That's a crime on a scale that would make a lot of people wonder about, how did we get into this situation? And, I'm trying to pick out the main points which drove, which should have shaped that trajectory. And here, the Treatment Action Campaign, played an important role in 2006. I was really sorry. I was out of the country at the Global Fund, at the AIDS Alliance in the UK when this happened and saw it from afar. But there was a complete revolution. It was the time when, the health minister became ill and Jeff Khadebe became health minister. Nozizwe Madlala sort of came into her own and a cameo role in this history. So much happened, and it led to this National Strategic Plan 2006, which finally felt like it believed in rolling out treatment with big numbers, with big money behind it. Whereas, between 2003 and 2006, really, there was what some people use as term malicious compliance. Government had a policy change. I had the privilege of being on that cabinet committee that President Mbeki called his cabinet committee, which actually had nothing to do with setting up. That got the policy through in 2004. But even in 2006, Mantu Tshabalala was doing her beetroot and garlic at the Toronto conference. So there was a reluctance to do it all. But 2006 was the breakthrough. And there's no doubt that between the government officials, many of whom are forgotten, like Nomonde Kundu, and the TAC people that really shaped a new policy. It was a breakthrough, and it only started coming through properly in 2007, 2008, when Barbara Hogan became minister and Fatima became a government official, special advisor. We're looking for another special advisor in the presidency at the moment, so we're not very happy with the one that's there right now. So we'll talk to Fatima, maybe she can do better. But let me point out that whilst we are kind of in this frenzy of backslapping each other on our back, all the time over the last 10 years, that 1 million people have died since 2009. Now, there have been lots of successes, and I'll point out a few, but I don't think it's anywhere near appropriate for anyone to claim a success story or to claim a legacy when 1 million people have died under our watch in this period when the policy was right, Now, in the decade before, that number was double that. And it's fair to say that the number's coming down. And I'll show you the mortality statistics in the next slide. But I don't think anyone should be given awards or prizes or be re-elected for claiming that they have beaten the epidemic. And unfortunately, this goes all the way to Geneva. UNAIDS has done us a disservice by claiming that we're winning the war, that we'll end AIDS by 2030. Anybody who says we will end AIDS by 2030 has absolutely no understanding of what it means to have 10 million people in one country needing treatment, needing a strong healthcare system. But let me press on to the next slide. These are new infections. And I first did a slide from 1998 to 2017. And you can see there's a dramatic decline, 50%. And it sounds good. And the household survey that was announced a few months ago, it was claimed as a huge victory, 40% down. Now, this must be debatable. This is a 2.5% decline in incidence year on year over a 15-year period, which has brought us down to where. This is not fantastic news. I can assure you that 6 countries in the region, including Zimbabwe, Namibia, Zambia, Malawi, have all achieved better outcomes than this. There are 6 countries that PEPFAR claims is controlling its epidemic, and we are not one of those 6 countries. But the infections are coming down. And it's poignant, it's telling that the treatment action campaign was formed when new infections were at their highest. And at some level, the people feel on the ground the statistics we draw on the chart, right? If I can have the next slide, Lottie. So a few things about that slide. I've covered the first point, the second point, but I do want to point out that in 2017, there were 100,000 new infections in young women. And they now make up 1/3 of all new infections. And these are the new frontiers of tackling the epidemic. Let me go to the next slide, Lottie. This is what I referred to earlier. If you look at 1998 and 2017, you'll see that there are more or less the same number of deaths. But time is a powerful thing. And I ask you to look back at the pre-epidemic days, 85 to 91. Those were the days. That's where those are the levels we want to get back to. But we still have shy of 100,000 deaths in South Africa last year. Our statistics are not great, but this modeling work is excellent. But one must acknowledge that 4 million people on treatment does lead to that sort of mortality decline. And that's a move absolutely in the right direction. But look at those deaths around 2005. Now you'll see that there's a 5-year lag between the peak of infections and the peak of deaths, right? And that's what happens over time. And I'm coming to a close now. Lottie. So So why are people still dying from HIV? There still are people in this country who do not know they have HIV. It's about 15% of people do not know that they have HIV. But a lot of these people are undiagnosed. They arrive at a hospital in a critical state and they die, or they die at home and nobody even knows. But a lot of patients, as much as 20 or 25%, who are ending up in hospitals have already been on treatment, which means that they have failed treatment for a number of reasons. And about 25% get lost to follow up in the system. So, if we continue down this sort of path, that's not a standard that we need to have if we want to manage the sorts of numbers we have here. And that brings us down to quality of care and drug stockouts. I mean, at tertiary hospitals a few weeks ago, there was no dolutegravir in this country. It's like, if you've moved your patients all through all possible treatments, they finally get onto dolutegravir, and there's a stockout, there can't be anything worse for the patient or for the clinician or for the system. But somebody will talk about the stockouts here. The stockouts are worse than government admits they are. There can be no doubt about that. But also, 6, 7 of 8 years of the stockouts campaign have kind of come back every year with the same story. There's no movement forward. No one is able to get together, put together, have the wherewithal to fix a simple logistics problem with drugs, And that's a reflection of the sort of the backroom failure of our health system. Unfortunately, we still have government officials, 2 very senior officials, singing the same story over the last 2 to 3 months, one on television and one on radio, saying these problems are small, we're dealing with them, they're intermittent. That's the terminology that's being used. Really to end, I'd like to say, the fight over the last 20 years was focused on treatment, drug prices, and access. And you can see how the imagination of people living with HIV and the public was captured by a rising tide, a rising epidemic, with high mortality, funerals, on Saturdays, by the dozen in every township in the country. But we're entering 20 years into a very different set of circumstances. Mortality is coming down and will go down further. The new infections are going down. But, the kind of system we need to support 10 million patients on treatment, 8 million now, is going to require a complete overhaul of the health system. We also need to find a cure, everybody who is on treatment has the dream that they will one day be able to go to a clinic and get something which will cure them. There are amazing developments in science at the moment, and there are options, but it's about time for the TAC over the next 20 years to support this work, to make sure that they're funded properly, and that they are aware of that, because choices will become available for these things, as they are in prevention now. If we get a vaccine that's only 50% efficacious, who is going to choose whether we use a vaginal ring or a vaccine or pre-exposure prophylaxis? There are choices now that movements like the TAC will have to start engaging with. But in order to do that, you have to raise your game. The 4 of you in front here, you're going to have a different standard and different expertise. These battles are different and they're complex. But my final point is really that unless the TAC does not focus its next 20 years on fixing the broken health system, I think it'll be missing the main point of the next phase of this struggle. Now, simple populist solutions about fixing the health system must be frowned upon. You know, I had the honor and privilege of being part of a team that completely reorganized the health system in the Western Cape. It took 7 years to do. I led the team that wrote the plan. I led the team that implemented this plan. And I can assure you, there was a lot of complexity. And I would be the last one to stand up and say, this is how you will fix the health system. But there's some things that are easy to recognize. If you just say, the solution is the NHI, that's not going to get us anywhere. You know, what the public needs are options to discuss and debate. And, I mean, you know, there are options within healthcare reform. And there are options to reform the private sector too. And it's important that the TAC, in its next 20 years, focuses on fixing the system and focuses on finding a way with government and everybody else that it brought together in the past to fix this complex problem. Enkosi kakhulu.
Ebashayayo, wena Uteki, ebashayayo, wena mato, uzuwelulwandle, uzungakhali, PWA, ukwe kukhona, uzokulwela, uzungakhali, rape survivor, uthe kukhona, uzokulwela, xa utheki, ebashayayo, wena manto, uzuwelulwandle, xa utheki, ebashayayo, wena slwengu, uzuwelulwandle, uzungakhali, rape survivor, uthe kukhona, uzokulwela, amandla, amandla. Those were the songs back in the days. Thank you, Farid. Although this is what you get when you give a board member, a long activist, and a person who worked with Aaron Mutsualedi, he will chow your tie. He has learned from the best. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for reminding us where we were and where we are. This shows that, comrades, we still need to put more energy in our fight. And we still have to remind politicians, government officials, that people are still dying. And we still need treatment. If we are talking today, second line and third line regimen, we are short of it, then it means those people who are on second line and third line regimen, we will lose them. And we are seeing that on the ground. In the past week, I've seen 2 people that we've lost. Yesterday, I was in a funeral. We're burying a 30-year-old young woman. So it's not nice. And it's not easy to see people living with HIV still dying at this time and age. Before we play a video, I would like to acknowledge few partners that we have, especially PHIV sector. I would like to acknowledge PWN, Sanarela, NAPWA. I haven't seen PAC, Positive Action Campaign. That is our child. That is our child. So, as ANC has given birth to other political parties. Also, TAC has given birth to other PLHIV sectors. So, sinengane, we have children. But they come back. They remember to come back home. The team, can we have messages of support? While they are preparing messages of support, I will ask Chief Justice Cameroon to prepare himself to come on the stage after the message of support.
Start. Okay, what are we going to say?
We say congratulations
Yeah,
on your great work.
on everything that you've achieved.
Yes.
20 years. The world would not be the same without TAC.
Good.
So this is Philip Mbogwa,
Yes, I am Philip Mbogwa
and I
from
am
Kenya.
and I am
Dermot MacDonald.
from Ireland, and we're in Marrakesh for the UNIDID board meeting, and we took a moment out from our busy days by the pool,
And we
working
would
hard.
like to congratulate you on
Yeah.
all the great work that you have done.
Yeah, Amandla.
In 1999, I came to your first National Congress in a church in Soweto. You inspired me then, and you inspire me now as I remain a committed HIV activist. Your struggles in the streets, in communities, and in courts has won South Africa so many battles. You are needed now as you were then. The global AIDS response needs the urgency, the passion, and the mobilization that you Treatment Action Campaign comrades can bring. Amandla!
Sambonani, Dumalang, Ndimatekwana, Patrick, Northern Province and Ndimatekwana. I'm honored to be here. I want to go back to something that Dr. Abdullah said, Farid. Why are so many people still dying? The one thing he didn't mention is the one thing the Treatment Action Campaign came to stamp out. It's shame. We still feel too much shame in our families, in our households, in our neighborhoods, in our employment places. People feel shame, they don't get tested, they don't get onto treatment, they don't want to keep up their treatment. But what Treatment Action Campaign did at a time when we were untouchables, think back 20 years. The shame of HIV has been changed by Treatment Action Campaign, not enough. But 20 years ago, you couldn't speak about HIV. Simon Nkoli, he'll be honored later by Phumi Mtetwa. Simon Nkoli was black, he was poor, he was from a township, and he was gay. And he said, I'm all these things together. I'm going to fight against poverty, I'm going to fight against segregation, I'm going to fight against apartheid, and I'm going to fight for LGBTI equality. Gugu Dlamini, Mandisa, we honor your mother today. We honor her for her courage. She had courage. When I was sitting in the High Court in Johannesburg, driving home to my home in middle-class Johannesburg, after I'd started on antiretrovirals, Gugu Dlamini, without antiretrovirals, without the salary of a judge, without the protection of middle-class life, she spoke out. She paid a terrible price. She made me start to speak. I honor her, Mandisa. I honor you for honoring her memory. And let us think, ladies and gentlemen, why treatment action campaign was so important. Look, black, melanin, TAG in North America, ACT UP in North America, were fighting for the rights of a small minority. People like myself, white gay men, before we realized that 90%, 2/3 of the people on earth who would be affected by the epidemic would be black people in Africa, most of them poor. Treatment Action Campaign said we will not accept that. We do not accept that people can be treated in Europe, in America, in Australasia, where they have the resources, but poor black people in Africa will be left to die. That vision that said, I will not be ashamed of living with HIV. I will not be ashamed of being black. I will not be ashamed of living in Africa. And I will not beg for treatment, was the vision of Zaki Ahmed. Zaki Ahmed, a person of astonishing courage and vision, he put together anger, which we must continue to feel. It's another thing that I want to add to what Dr. Farid said. Anger, but principle also, and strategy. Zaki combined anger, strategy, and principle. And he said, we demand treatment. We cannot think what a thing he undertook, because the drug companies said, we've got the drugs, we can produce them cheaply, but they belong to us. What are you talking about? Patent law, intellectual property law, exclusive licenses. And Zaki said no. He took the fight to the pharmaceutical companies in Midrand. He took the fight to the suburbs and the city centers of Johannesburg. And he took the fight eventually when we realized, a year after Treatment Action Campaign was started, we realized to our horror that denialism, which Dr. Farid also mentioned, had embedded itself in the very highest political office in South Africa, in President Mbeki's presidency. And Zaki took the fight to the presidency, to the executive, and won an enormous victory. How did Treatment Action Campaign do this? It was through mobilization. But I want to mention three things that are very important. The one is that at that time, the African National Congress had come to power. We had a necessity for national unity, for a vision of progressive transformation of South Africa's economy, of its land, of access to wealth, to income. And everyone, many people supported the ANC. To speak against the ANC president, President Thabo Mbeki, on such an important thing was very difficult. Business kept quiet. The diplomatic corps kept quiet. Cultural leaders kept quiet. But the Treatment Action Campaign was not silent. It was not hobbled by convention, political correctness, or the prevailing views. It took a stand to challenge the prevailing views. I ask you to continue doing it. The second principle that the Treatment Action Campaign embraced and propounded was very important. It was evidence. You cannot make progress socially with NHI, with land, with redistribution, unless you go by evidence, unless you support evidence-based solutions. It was evidence that eventually brought the courts to give the order that they gave. It was evidence because it was all in the affidavits before the Constitutional Court. We cannot afford to reject evidence, to go by rumor, to go by presupposition, to go by general opinion. We have to stick to evidence. And it was evidence that got the Treatment Action Campaign, its main allies, the South African Council of Churches, the Congress of South African Trade Unions, and the media. The media was guided by evidence. The reporting on HIV, guided by the TAC, was astoundingly good. We have seen lapses recently. The rogue unit reporting, disgraceful reporting that was prodded by vindictive agendas. We cannot allow ourselves to be party to that. And the last thing I want to mention, Sobona, Abantwana, Ninjani. Wow. Come and say hello. Yes. Come and say hello. Come and say hello. Ngubani igama lakho?
Amish.
Ha. Say hello.
Hello.
Say Amandla.
Mandla.
Yes, thank you. I'm making my last point. Thank you. Can I give you a kiss? I'm making my last point, which is the rule of law and the Constitution. They are our guide. We have to believe in the Constitution and its principles and the rule of law. Without the rule of law, without fair process, without evidentiary judging, without fair judges, the Treatment Action Campaign would have been nothing. Brave judges, judges like Chief Justice Arthur Chaskelson and Deputy Chief Justice Pius Nkonzo-Langa, judges who led the Constitutional Court to do an enormously brave thing and tell President Mbeki to start making antiretroviral treatment available. Without the courage of Treatment Action Campaign activists, without the vision and strategy and principle, without the media, but without the rule of law, and most importantly, without brave and principled judges. One of them is here tonight, an extraordinary man who was sentenced at the age of 15 by apartheid judges to go to Robben Island. Tula wena. How? How? He was on Robben Island with Nelson Mandela and also with former President Jacob Zuma. And I'd want to honor Deputy Chief Justice Dikgang Moseneke as an extraordinarily brave judge. And I want to honor you now tonight. And I want to honor another judge tonight because it's an important weekend for her. And I want to tell you why she's been so brave. Her name is Judge Kathleen Satchwell. Let me tell you how brave she's been. And the reason is on our shoulders. Before gay marriage became acceptable or before it became fashionable, Judge Kathleen Satchwell had been in a relationship for 27 years with her partner. Her partner died on Friday. And I want to convey our deep sympathy to her for her terrible loss after all these decades. But Judge Kathleen Satchwell had extraordinary courage and vision. She took the government to court long before gay marriage, and she said, my partner has been with me, and she's entitled to benefits. All the other judges' spouses get benefits. Why should my partner not? Those are the principles that I asked Treatment Action Campaign to go forward on. Courage, commitment to the rule of law, to fair process, evidence, 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 and not being cowed by political convention or fashions. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Amandla! Western Cape bathi bexako urath ethi abantu abaphuza ama vitamin bengafuni ukuthi besinikeze treatment. You remember? You still remember those days? Bathi sikhalo sikathekisi hoye. Wenokhalelane. Wenokhalelane. Isikhalo sikathekisi hoye. Wenokalelane. 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 Zizojika izinto. Wenokalelane. Wenokalelane. Uyaliluteki. Wenokalelane. Wenokalelane. Uyalilupapi. Wenokalelane. Wenokalelane. Amandla! Uye Carlos katekisi huye. Wenokalelane. Wenokalela. Oh! Mtana wenoka. Isitsika izinto. Sezajika. Kalela. Wenokalela.
Mtana wenukalela. Wenukalelani. Amandla! Viva people living with HIV, viva! Viva TAC, viva! I'm sorry, man. I won't call you out today. I'm pushing for women's leadership. I'm honoring women. So you'll bear with me today. I don't see you. I don't recognize you. But I know you are here. Thank you, Justice Cameron. I'm still here. I'm still black. I'm living with HIV. I'm a woman, worst of all. I have challenges of gender-based violence every day that I'm facing as a woman. I'm still dying as a woman. I'm still losing my family members. So I'm still fighting. And my energy and my anger, I'm still directing it to make people have better lives in South Africa. While I'm saying that, I would like to acknowledge Deputy Chief Justice Dikgang Moseneke. We can't stop thanking you. You keep on doing your work while you retired. We lost more than 144 people in life as Dlamini. And we cannot thank you enough for having that commission and to be faithful and to be harsh and asking those hard questions so that all of us as South Africans to know what happened. Section 11 of the Constitution says we all have a right to life. It doesn't specify to say which color, your mental disability, or race. It says all South Africans. Everyone. Yeah, sorry, thank you. Everyone. Actually, our preamble says a constitution is for everyone who lives in it. So we all belong in South Africa, and irrespective of where you come from, you're South African. I will like to call women. Hence, I don't see men. I will call women leaders. After the message, I want Sharon to prepare your 3 minutes message. And I would like them to talk about women leadership in tech. Vuyiseka Dubula, our DGS, and our young person, Leonora Mate. So I'm calling these 3 women who've been in tech, continuously being in the leadership and working very hard to make sure that we fight for better healthcare services. Can we get a messages of support? And then the 3 beautiful
Hi,
ladies.
my name is
should
Alan
come in.
Maleche. I work with an organization called KELIN that focuses on health and human rights in Kenya. We are a great supporter and admirer of the work TAC has done for the last 2 decades. And we take this opportunity to applaud you for fighting injustices in the health system in order to make it affordable and accessible for people in South Africa to be able to access treatment and services that are rights-based. As we celebrate 2 decades of activism, I want to particularly applaud you for standing up for those who have faced sexual violence and sexual abuse. It's not an easy thing to do, but it has to be done. And for this, I applaud TAC. Viva TAC, viva.
Happy birthday, Treatment Action Campaign. It's hard to imagine what things would be like if you hadn't been there the last 20 years. What makes the Treatment Action Campaign so special is that what we call its branches are actually its roots from which the whole thing grows. And I know you'll stay true to that in the next 20 years. I can't wait to see what you'll do. I'm here at the U.S. Capitol building where people are working hard to make sure black people and women and LGBT people stay poor. This over here is the White House, and you know what's going on over there. I wish you were here to help us fight them, but I know you're busy down there. Happy birthday, TAC. Wish I was there with you. I mean it when I say I love you. Take care.
Warming up, you know, the young one's blood. We call her our young one, so she'll be the first to speak on behalf of all women in TAC.
Oh, okay. Eish, the moment you say dinosaurs, I got scared. I was like, okay, there's dinosaurs, what am I? A mini dinosaur. What's happening here? But anyway, I'm honored to be here and celebrating 20 years of TAC as a mini dinosaur, hoping in the next 20 I'll be the dinosaur. We're living in a world where young women are suffering and are still dying of HIV. Every week, 2,500 young women are getting infected with HIV and AIDS. And the country's response to that is campaigns that are on paper and not working. Young people are not getting contraceptives. And we say we want to decrease teenage pregnancy. How do we do so? Even Women don't have choices. Even if they were to get pregnant, there's not enough choices for them in case they want to do TOP. So what are we saying? Are we living in a country where only dinosaurs will be left and we're getting rid of all the mini dinosaurs? What is it that we're saying? And I'm happy the judges are here. I would like to learn a lesson or two about taking it to the streets as young people, because I would love to do that. And I'm happy there's judges that will protect us as young people. We demand actions that will work for us. We demand contraceptives. And I'm happy the DG of Health is here. So I know that by tomorrow there will be contraceptives in clinics. We are calling as you're sitting there. Thank you.
As an almost dinosaur, because we have our dinosaur over there. I'm an almost dinosaur because, firstly, let me share that I spent 15 years plus of my life in TAC. I might look young, but I'm an almost dinosaur. But what TAC means to women of my age and those that are a bit up and below me is that TAC is what you make out of it. There are conversations, there are debates, there are dialogues, there are arguments, but somebody has to start those. And for the very longest time, TAC has been encouraging people to discuss, to talk about issues, whether they are family matters, whether they are societal issues, but as long as they contribute to the spread of HIV and AIDS, gender-based violence, and all other issues that we deal with in our lives. For the time that we spent in TAC, becoming part of campaigns and workshops and trainings, and sometimes, you know, when you are reduced to a nobody because you are just young, black, and you do not really know what you are talking about, and people in power would refuse to sit with you because you don't have a recognized position or a title. And TAC has taught us one or two things, that it is a unique varsity. Because whatever it is that we are taught in TAC, you will never find it in any university. And that has been an environment and this platform that has been created to encourage people to learn, to debate, and to empower themselves, because information and knowledge has been our key, and it built confidence in us, and because we became stronger as a result of the information that we had. In most meetings, we would be asked to simplify what the National Health Act says for people that are supposed to be implementing it. In order for us in TAC to play our role as advocates and activists, we had to understand what the Constitution is about, what does it say, what are the policies that are talking to women needs specifically. But what I want to say in this platform is that recognizing women in TAC, they had played a very special role in accepting people who identifies within the population of LGBTQIA+. We would be in workshops where people would avail their homes for comrades to sleep, but nobody would want to share, especially on our male comrades, to share a mattress with a person who identifies as gay. But it was only women in TAC who would share a bed, who would share a couch, who would even wash in the presence of those people who identify themselves as gay. Because we understood that all of us are equal and we have rights. That has been a learning. That has been a learning of all of us in TAC. I do not want to mention every other programmatic issue, but that respecting people and recognizing people with their differences, because they are different to you, does not mean they do not exist, which is something that we would want to see happening in the longest 20 years of the TAC. Wearing a pink t-shirt became a struggle for our male colleagues because the color pink is associated with identifying yourself as a female. Those are some of the struggles we had to live with in TAC. But because we are women, we forgive. Nothing for us is personal. It's all about empowering others so that they are able to empower themselves and also be support to others. Some of us have given birth to HIV-free babies because of the role that every one of us in this room played, because of other dinosaurs that are not in the house today with us. But we recognize every other effort that has been played by all the people that were concerned about HIV. Thank you.
The real dinosaur. Okay, I need to do an Amandla and my papers are all falling. Amandla! Viva TAC, viva! Okay, so I'm going to start because this session was called Honoring Those Who Fought for Our Lives, the Role of Women Leaders in TAC. And actually that should be reworded to read, Honoring the Role of Women in the TAC. And I think we are expecting Comrade Vuyiseka Dubula, who will come later, and she needs to be honored. We need to respect the role that someone like Comrade Sipho Mthathi played, Linda Mafu, and Rukia Colinius. I want to quote something which I read on Phumi Mtetwa's WhatsApp message, what do you call it, your identity or your profile. She says, and I've just altered it a little bit, she says, we expect women to work and be activists like they don't have children. And we raise children as if they don't, and to raise children as if they don't have work and are not leaders and activists. And I think that's an important thing that we got to think about as we pay tribute to the number of women in this organization who have built and worked and are at the coalface in communities, whether it's on issues of exclusion of migrants or on questions of stockouts. It's women that are leading in those struggles. And now I want to actually reflect, and Sister Sue Roberts was mentioned earlier on her role, but I have a story that I want to tell because it really tells us where we come from. And many people have spoken about this, but it's when you know the real stories of the real people and what they went through that you can understand and respect the role that TAC has played. And I know Sue Roberts will know the person I'm talking about. Her name is Elizabeth, and she's alive today. She worked as a domestic worker, either in Sandton or Danefern or Stain Village. And one morning, her employer rounded up all the people that worked for her, summoned them off to the doctor, and they all got tests for HIV. And she didn't know her status and found out that she was HIV positive. And she came to the AIDS Consortium, which is where I used to work. And we referred her, as we always did, to the AIDS Law Project. And this person was devastated. She's got 2 children. She didn't know this before, and they were all summarily dismissed, as was done at the time. And she eventually became one of the first women to receive ARVs from the national rollout in 2004 at Helen Joseph Hospital at the Infectious Control Clinic, which was an amazing place. We spent a lot of our time there, and you saw the volunteerism and the work that Sister Sue Roberts led. And I think that this gives us a sense of where we've come from and how much has changed, because as Edwin pointed out earlier, this organization was mobilized to speak truth to power. And it did so from a position of organizing in communities and right from the branch level up to provincial structures. I think as we mark this 20th year of the TAC, we have to take note, and I'm not going to speak about this much, but as we are here celebrating and commemorating, we hear of a report where UNAIDS allowed for abuse of power, bullying, and sexual harassment. And that's the nature of organizations that women are working in. And we need to think about what do we do and how do we overcome these to ensure that women are able to lead and play a role equal to the male comrades that we have in the organization. On those notes, I want to close and pay tribute to the many, many women comrades who have built the Treatment Action Campaign. Amandla!
It's always nice to hear your voice from Sharon, Vovo, and the young one. Thank you very much. As much as Treatment Action Campaign always respect women leadership, but there's no exception. There are still those male within the organization who disrespect women leadership. We are still facing those challenges. And we can't act as if everything is okay. We are still fighting patriarchy. We are still facing where men, they want their voice to be heard other than women. But we'll continue to fight that because we have been mentored by women like Sharon, Sipho Mthathi, Linda Mafu, Nonkosi Kumalo, Nokwezi Mabutyana, and many others. Your leadership played a very good role in the TAC, and your leadership is still felt in this organization. We still recognize you as our leaders. You'll continue to be our leaders forever and ever. I'm happy to call another woman. And I want to say it's her birthday today. And she decided not to spend her birthday with her family. And I'm happy because she chose us. Not because your family is not important, but you thought that your children, as our mother, we are also important. Can we sing for Mom Precious Matsoso? Yembilenda, say Tshabalala, wesikuyo. Oh, yembilenda, oh, say Tshabalala, yembilenda. Sharp.
Amandla. Thank you very much. This is a truly memorable day because for me, the 9th and the 10th are the same. So I'm celebrating anyway. So I said, this is the best way to celebrate a birthday. But I just wanted to say that the same year in February was the time when I received court papers, legal action, what became described as a 15C court action, for those of you who recall. This is at the time when we introduced this bill in Parliament in 1996. None of us knew anything about TRIPS agreement. Neither did we know anything about the Uruguay round of talks. As you may recall, the first bill that was introduced in Parliament, because I was reflecting and saying, as a reflection as government, what did we do then that we are failing to do now? The first bill was introduced in Parliament in 1996. Some of you may not know that it was withdrawn. Withdrawn because there were two specific provisions, in addition to others. One that said would extend the essential medicines to the private sector. The second one said the private sector, to make medicines affordable, would have to buy through the state tender. We were threatened with Section 403. Some of you will know what it means. And there were also threats about sanctions. So we then withdrew the bill and removed the two clauses and reintroduced the bill again. But I thought it was over until I learned about the exhaustion principle. Deputy Chief Justice Mseneke, you may not know that this is what actually pushed me to go and do an LLM so that I could understand what this fuss was all about. The new bill became the Act 90 of 97, which resulted in court action February 1998. But it received global action. But people think that it was just the court case. But it's behind the scene kind of action that I would like to reflect on, and the solidarity from civil society. Solidarity locally and internationally. And I thought today I did this so that you'll recall that this is where it started. You may recall that Madiba made a statement about generics. He asked the questions, why are generics so affordable in India? Why can't we get them? But little did I know that that question actually ignited movement. Because at the time, as the registrar of the Medicines Control Council, civil society was knocking on my door. The first thing they did was to go to Thailand, because there are a number of people who suffered from cryptococcal meningitis, and they could not access fluconazole. So they challenged me because they went to Thailand, and they brought the first batch of fluconazole was not registered. And I remember I said to Zaki Ahmad, I'm going to send police to arrest you. He said, I would gladly go to jail if it is to defend those that need these medicines most. But I had an opportunity to meet with civil society to say what are the best way to make sure that they could access these. But TAC and MSF went, and I want to underscore this. TAC and Vavi, just to remind you, you may have forgotten. TAC, MSF, COSATU went to Brazil because they want to offer a new lease of life to those South Africans who needed ARVs. All what they needed from us, a guarantee of quality. And they asked for authorization. I said there are vehicles in the system. At the time, only 50 people were on treatment. And we issued Section 21 approval. And they came back with antiretrovirals. There were still a few that Farid had put on treatment. I don't know where he got the ARVs from. But I'm glad that at least it was the beginning of a phase. Now, in this Section 21 approval, what they did at the time, because the medicine cost 10,000 a month, 10,000 rands a month, compared to 450 rands of the Brazilian antiretrovirals that they brought into the country. So we did this comparative analysis to show that most people could be put on treatment. Today we pride ourselves about a lot of people being on treatment, but this is where it started. But I'm sad that today I have 9 women who were treated under the same Section 21. Now, they were paying 5,000 rands a month for a course of treatment, which is supposed to be for 6 months. Now, of course, 5,000 rands is dependent on your pocket, obviously, whether you afford or not. Now, this medicine was still not registered. When it got registered, it cost 75,000 per course of treatment. And now I had nine of these women, and I had to decide. I said to the Medicines Control Council, there's no way these women are going to be left to die. There's no way I can't afford it, even in my current employment, let alone these women. So it's the basis on which, during my term, and I don't want to talk about the rest because some of you know my difficulties, but I survived then. Judge Cameron, you'll remember, Justice, you'll remember in 2003, when we were just about to celebrate because I announced without approval, authority, that people were going to be put on treatment, and we all celebrated. In the morning, I was told that I was to hold a press conference and withdraw everything that I announced at the conference. So these things happen from time to time, but sometimes I do take these chances if I think it's going to save people's lives. But I think the underlying issue here is that access to medicine has not been a South African issue only. You know as well as I do that an attempt to do this through coming up with a global strategy, plan of action, and public health innovation and intellectual property was a victory for everybody. We all celebrated. But the outcome was that very little happened. There was policy incoherence. And more recently, as you know, we came up with the UN high-level panel report, and you know what the challenges are. And it is only in South Africa where you hear that voice, but that voice needs to be louder so that we can know how best to deal with policy incoherence. So I appeal to you that let's keep the fire burning. Let's get all those on treatment, hepatitis, hypertension, cancer. We know it is not just a South African problem. It cuts across all sectors of society. Even those who afford today say they can't afford cancer treatment. As a public servant, it pains me to hear that there are problems with the health system. We've come up with a global report as part of Harvard work. We were supposed to release the report. And this report recognizes the ills of the system today. And this report maps the way forward. And I would like to appeal to you to rally behind this report because we say it presents an opportunity to improve quality in the health sector. Ours in the public sector as servants, they are the following that I think we need to do. We need to serve unconditionally. We need to serve with commitment. We need to serve with humility. Where we have erred, we must say we are sorry. And we must take that as an opportunity to fix things. We must serve with integrity. We must serve with respect. But we must also work with others. I salute you for your commitment, particularly those living with HIV and AIDS. A commitment to our country for fighting for the right of patients and the right to life. For your patriotism, for fighting against corruption. I salute you.
Oh, my daughter. Fikile kaya. Tilalilela. Tilalilela la la. Oh tilalilela. Comrade shaya izandla awuphinda ngikuzwanga man nawe vova shaya izandla angiphi amandla Andrew ubaby Andrew ke lo amandla asibonge kakhulu ku DJ. Then it went on and on and on and on. Go 2003, eBisho, they were shot by amaphoyisa. You still remember? Baba shang tear gas. You remember? And then baqala bacula. But in konje, but basibetha kanjani? Asibetha kanjani? Basibetha kanjani? Basibetha kanjani? Betha kanjani? Basibetha kanjani? Basibetha kanjani? Sine AIDS, sine AIDS, sine AIDS. Basibetha kanjani? Anirongo, atirongo, baberongo, baberongo, basitubula kanjani, 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 baberongo, 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 tubula kanjani, sine. And then they went on again. Bathula, after some time, baphinda futhi babuyela estratini. That time, what was the time of uGoqwane? Mkhumbula uDr. Goqwane? Mhla 20. Bathi zonke zisonde bonkaba amnizwa zonke zisondelene bonkabantu mabasondelene ewe zisondelene ewe zisondelene ewe zisondelene ewe zisondelene zonke izizwe zisondelene bonke abantu mabasondelene zonke izizwe zisondelene bonke abantu basondelene ewe zisondelene ewe zisondelene ewe zisondelene ewe zisondelene zonke and then they went on again. Saye KZN. KZN always controversial. Apparently, Upopo, who was the premier back in the days, Upopo from the IFP, Umchal, he said, we cannot let our people die. So therefore, as IFP, we then taking the government to court. It's funny enough that we forget that. Then TAC in KZN, they said, Kenge, alingane kaTheki, awukhoba kobasha, sihleli emduveni. Kenge, zakhale ngane kaTheki, awukhoba kobasha, sihleli emduveni. Sibuza kuwe, we mama we mantom. Bafa bafowethu bebulawa yingculazi. Sibuza kuwe, we mama we mantom. Awurisa sandla sami. Bafa bafowethu bebulawa yingculazi. Kenge, zakhale ngane kaTheki, awungabe kobashana, sesihleli emduveni. Kenge, zakhale ngane kaTheki, awungabe kobashana, sesihleli emduveni. Sibuza kuwe, we mama Tshabalala, awubafa bafowethu bebulawa yingculazi. Kwakukhona uMamzodwa, uMamrita, awusithandwa sami. Awuzokobashane sesihleli emduveni. Kenge, habe kobashane hleli Kenge, zakhale ngane kaTheki, habe kobashane. Chairperson, hleli emduveni. Sibuza kuwe, we mama we manto, habe kobashane, sesihleli emduveni. Sibuza kuwe, we mama Tshabalala, habe kobashane, sesihleli. Amandla! Amandla! Womandla!
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. We know you've been here for us, and you continue to be here. And you always face challenges because you support civil society. And we always call you at night. We call you anytime. Thank you for responding to our calls. Every time we are struggling, we call you and you respond, and you make sure there's action, and you make sure that you intervene. We need more leaders like you. And if you can have more leaders like you, we'll make South Africa a better place. So keep up the good work. Keep up being a woman. Keep up being a mother of the nation. Comrades, there are comrades from Equal Education, which will need them to come and join us here, maybe two of them. I will call Comrade Mark to recognize few guests that came in, and then we'll go to our next session after that.
Comrades who came late, when we started this meeting, and I'll just repeat it again, we said there's no VIPs in this room. In fact, the most important comrades are the comrades who we're not acknowledging by name. Comrades have come from 7 provinces, from villages and towns all over South Africa. I know the comrades from KZN. Their taxi left this morning from Durban at 9 o'clock in the morning, got here at 6 o'clock. But before then, people traveled from Umkanya Kude in different parts of KZN. So Eastern Cape, KZN, Mpumalanga, Western Cape, Gauteng, Free State. You are all acknowledged and welcomed. I just want to spend a few minutes just to give a few apologies of people. We tried to make this as broad and as representative of the 20 years of the Treatment Action Campaign as possible, and it's been a wonderful opportunity to reach out to many, many people that we haven't heard from for a long time. I'm just going to read out names of people who, for one reason or another, could not make it tonight, but who were invited. Everybody knows Slim and Quraisha Abdul Karim. They couldn't make it, they were invited. They may come tomorrow morning. Haroon's partner in pediatrics, Professor Ashraf Kuvadia. We've talked about the role of Zaki tonight. We asked Zaki to come, Nathan Geffen, other doctors, Dr. Colin Pfaff. I don't know if comrades remember Colin Pfaff from Manguzi. He's in Malawi. Dr. Francois Venter couldn't make it. Dr. Eric Wamar from MSF couldn't make it. Other judges, Judge Zak Yakub apologized. Bongani Majola, the chairperson of the South African Human Rights Commission, sent a very nice message and apologized. Lucilla Blankenberg, and a bunch of other people. Some of you may remember Mercy Makhalamela. Mercy's in England. Marcy Makhalamela. Marcy sent her apologies, but she's aware of tonight's event and would have been with us as well. Then just to mention recognize some other comrades who've come in since we started, who need special mention. First of all, Comrade Noncedo and others from Equal Education, the General Secretary of Equal Education, and the delegation from the Equal Education National Council and Secretariat. You're most welcome. Thank you for being here. He sneaked in after a day with a funeral, then working with groups of refugees from Somalia, then went and did his church service, Reverend Paul Verlaine. Paul was with us from the beginning, but I remember when he led us on the civil disobedience campaign from the church in Sharpeville at the beginning of 2003. Very important allies, comrades from MSF. MSF, again, from the very, very first. Eric is not here, but Gilles is here at the back. Amanda is here. Guillermo is here. 3 comrades from MSF. Thank you very much for being with us again tonight. Then we've got some veteran trade unionists. We have Comrade Zwelinzima Vavi, who's already been acknowledged. Once upon a time, the leader of COSATU, now the leader of SAFTU, but COSATU played a critical role in TAC's struggle and the struggle for ARVs, but also other trade union veterans and leaders, Jane Barrett, who's now on the board, and Stephen Faulkner from once upon a time from Samu. Just a couple of other partners, Mariah from the Rural Health Advocacy Project at the back, you most welcome. And then I just want to make mention of 3 veterans, very important veterans. He wasn't here at the start, Colwyn Poole. I think he was on the first TAC demonstration. Also worked for TAC in the very early days of the Treatment Action Campaign. Great Colwyn. Then I saw her somewhere at the back, Nkensani Mavasa. She was the TAC chairperson, but I remember her because she was the first African woman living with HIV to speak at the United Nations General Assembly as a person openly living with HIV. And then I've lost sight of her. She's hiding. Comrade Yvette Raphael, lift your head, Yvette. Friend, activist, close comrade of Comrade Prudence Mabele, who of course is in all of our minds as one of our friends that we lost in the course of this struggle. So if more messages come up or more people I've neglected, people will point out, but on with the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Now we'll get a message of support video. And after that, I will ask Comrade Vovo to come and share the session in memorial. Yeah, a message.
I love the Treatment Action Campaign, and I salute you for the remarkable successes of the last 20 years. And it's not just because TAC is the best NGO on the African continent, activist NGO, which you are. And it's not just because you throttled Thabo Mbeki's HIV denialism and saved tens of thousands of lives. And it's not just because you continue to fight for reforms in everything from education to poverty. It's because this whole world outside of South Africa itself in many ways is going downhill, more and more in the hands of reactionaries and crypto-fascists who reflect and exhibit misogyny and racism and right-wing agendas and corruption and criminalization. And all the while, like a beacon of light, stands the Treatment Action Campaign, principled, progressive, uncompromising, always fighting for human rights and social change. I salute you for that, and I send the warmest greetings for the next 20 years.
From Treatment Action Group in New York. TAG has been inspired working with TAC since its inception. You have pushed for so much progress against the HIV epidemic since those days, but there's still a long way to go. Millions of people still don't have access to HIV prevention and treatment, and TB, a preventable, curable disease, is the leading killer of South Africans and of people with HIV worldwide.
We were honored to march with you all in Cape Town in 2014 to call for a better response to TB, including more funding for research to end the epidemic. We were amazed at the strength of the TAC Army and your professionalism in mobilizing the TAC network and navigating bureaucracy.
Your intellectual property work is critical. You are champions for affordable, accessible medicines, including for HIV, hepatitis C, and tuberculosis. Your stance against big pharma through your Farm and Greed campaigns has energized the fight.
You inspire us and other global activists as we resist political forces that threaten health and human rights, especially here in the United States, where we face increasing discrimination, political apathy, corruption, and gross incompetence that puts all the progress we've made in jeopardy. You too are working in a deeply troubling political landscape with a broken healthcare system, and you are making a huge difference. You are fierce activists. You bring passion and accountability that are vital for this fight.
We need you, TAC, and we love you, TAC. Viva TAC!
Sekuyoze kube nini Mpumalanga sizabalaza Sekuyoze kube nini Ho oh sizabalaza Esihamba nothekithina TAC esihamba nothekithina TAC basamba ekuyoze kube nini hawa sizabalaza Ekuyoze kube nini hawa sizabalaza esihamba nothekithina sadlula sayi Limpopo bafika bathe Limpopo athi tsonga tsongane athi tsonga tsongane Tsambekate Tsamekatene. Tsamekate. Tsamekatene. Ati tsonga tsonga. Tsonga tsonga. Tsonga tsonga ne. Tsonga tsonga. Tsonga tsonga. Tsonga tsonga ne. Tsamekate. Tsamekate ne. Tsamekate. Tsamekate ne. Amandla! The night is still young.
Amandla! Amandla! Viva TAC, viva! Last year, oh, that was 2017, ne? At our Congress, we told the world that TAC is alive. Today is basically that put in action. That we are here, we are alive. It's not just TAC, but it's TAC with its supporters, with its allies, with its partners, and families that continues to live without their members for a very long time because their members choose to be here. And we are grateful that all of us are choosing TAC over everything else and our personal responsibilities. We are getting into a session now that would be a bit emotional for others and too emotional for others, depending on how your emotions are managed by you, of course. We will be talking about two comrades in particular that we have lost as a result of their HIV, as a result of being poor, as a result of lack of access to life-saving medication. On the program, we have Phumi Mtetwa and Mandisa Dlamini. I would like to introduce now and call on the stage Phumi Mtetwa, who will talk to us about Simon Nkoli, his life, his struggles, and until it was the end of him. I will not say much, she knows more, better than me. Thank you. Over to you, Phumi. Maqabalelanga ayakuqenga madosa imona kalalanga ayukuqenga madosa imona kalalanga ayukuqenga madosa imona kalalanga ayukuqenga ukuqenga madolo ayukuqenga madolo ukuqenga madolo ayukuqenga madolo yew 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 Simon akalalanga ayukuqenga mado Simon akalalanga ayukuqenga amandla.
Thank you, my comrade Vovo. Thank you. I couldn't have done that. You hear my voice. Amandla! Amandla! Awethu! Awethu! Congratulations, the Treatment Action Campaign. 20 years it's been. Thank you for being one of the most relevant movements post-apartheid. Thank you for everything that you have taught so many people, not just in South Africa, but across the world, as the messages suggest. I've been asked to talk a little bit about Simon, a remarkable gay man. Already, Edwin mentioned that HIV and AIDS was such a gay disease in the 80s when it came out. It created so much stigma. And also in many of our movements, lesbian and gay organizations at the time, some lesbians thought this wasn't our issue. There were many tensions about that. But this remarkable man, Simon, for me, as a young student activist based in the East Rand, I learned about the Delmas treason trial of 1984. Simon Nkoli was one of the 22 people arrested on treason. And they stood trial. And during that time with his comrades, that included people like Popo Molefe, Mwakora Matlodi, Gcina Malindi, and many others, Simon came out in prison to say that he was gay. Comrade Vovo, were you the one saying how the comrades don't want to sleep with gay men sharing beds? You can imagine in prison sharing cells with a gay man who had come out. And at that time, comrades, important to remember is that once you identify an enemy, to say this is the enemy, anything of self-determination that is critical even to the soldier or the activist is going to be deemed as problematic in fighting the enemy. So the coming out of Simon in prison as someone who was gay, it was a problem to the movement, was a problem to the struggle. But he stood firm. One of the most famous quotes that Simon is known for, I'll paraphrase, it goes something like, in my country I am oppressed for being black, I'm oppressed for being a gay man, I'm oppressed for being poor. I cannot differentiate or separate these struggles, for they all form a complete of who I am. That was the nature of who this man was. In the year that Simon died, 1998, he had been worried about a lot of things. One of them was that 3 years before then, he had come out as living with HIV. And he had tried to set up an organization inside an organization that he founded, the Gay and Lesbian Organization of the Witwatersrand, to particularly address HIV and AIDS. The stigma attached to HIV and AIDS at that time couldn't see us as members of GLOW establish a meaningful program to address HIV and AIDS, even to create a meaningful support program. Simon Nkoli set up the town, Positive Men's Network under the TAP, Township AIDS Project, with Mam Eniam Taung, who also I think is an important woman to salute in our journey. That was a very important step to put, here is an anti-apartheid leader, a black man, with all the myths and stigma surrounding HIV, that he was coming out as being positive, and added backlash. Yeah, he's gay. Yeah, he's gay. He struggled to fight to show that there were treatments available at the time, but that there was no way that he could get them to South Africa. In his last trip, I think, to Denmark and to New York, he came back with a package of medicines to show many of us who were close to him that treatment was available. Not only the fear of such an act, but also the ignorance that surrounded us in relation to what really it would mean to make it more affordable. Like, you'd have to rely on people traveling overseas to bring a plastic bag that you wouldn't know exactly what it would mean to, you couldn't spread it to the amount of need that was there. But Simon inspired us in a way in which he had an amazing charisma. He had a political successness and a commitment that is unparalleled for me. Simon could draw the energies that many of you have seen in organizing the first Gay and Lesbian Pride March in 1990 in South Africa to the streets. He could be a complete, give you a political analysis of what exclusion and discrimination and inequality means. He could dance, he could laugh, he had the broadest of smiles. But those last days of his life, as he was saying that he is going, those 2 weeks before he passed away, he was clear that he was doing, and his biggest wish, his biggest call was that we never give up the struggle to give a complete meaning to what we mean by human rights for all and what we mean by equality for all. Now, it didn't take, we didn't need much of brains to really think about what that means for this man who had been so active in the anti-apartheid struggle, growing up in Soweto and Sibukeng, to a working class mother who was a domestic worker, who had traveled the world but also understood that to rebuild South Africa meant that so many energies would be needed in order to really realize that dream. And so he passed on the 30th of November in 1998. And it was at a memorial service that Zaki made that call to establish an organization in which we could make sure that people do not die because they are poor, because they are black, because they have no access to treatment. It was quite a moving call which we rallied around. Organizations like the National Coalition for Lesbian and Gay Equality, an organization of which Simon was a co-founder, the AIDS Law Project, the AIDS Consortium, together partnering with NAPWA, Township AIDS Project and others, we set up the Gauteng strong point of the Treatment Action Campaign, not only in memory of Simon, but especially because he's represented a generation of people who were dying and who were dying silently without a voice, without an expression of what this disease was really meaning to the poor and working class people in our communities. Now, one of the things, Sam, I chose to take off my HIV t-shirt deliberately right now. And it's also because of an important lesson for me from Simon. Whilst we were grappling very much as members of the Gay and Lesbian Organization of the Witwatersrand around sexism in the organization. You know, men take the microphone all the time, representation. Anele, you don't have to look bad. We were battling with those things around representation and so on. And actually, it was at the Royal Albert Hall that he recognized the role of women in the Gay and Lesbian Organization of the Witwatersrand when we were receiving the Equality Award. But more so, as someone who was very close to Marx, and as a Marxist, he understood the class struggles very, very well, and an anti-capitalist struggle, which I think have been like fundamental pillars of what the TAC has stood for and has tried to fight against. But in recognizing sexism and patriarchy, I think as we recognize where we come from and where we're going, there's something that we will continuously be needing to grapple with, and it's a question of power. Power inside the movement and power outside. We're very good to go to the streets and toi against the government because of their power and their partnerships with the corporations, right? We're very good to go outside to toi when there's a hate crime and so on, because we want the judges to make a pronouncement that favors our call. But unless we are able to consciously take on the struggles of power inside our organizations, power within, power over, and power in, we will never, it will undermine the relevance of our movement. It will undermine the voices that we want to raise in the streets. So comrades, as we remember and reflect, I hope that we are able to confront our contradictions. I hope we are able to walk the talk. I hope when we say power to the women, we don't mean when I give you permission. And comrades, salute to all of you. Simon, and everyone who was there on that first day, whilst St. George's gets elevated. By the way, in Gauteng, we were outside Baragwanath Hospital fasting on the same day as TAC. I think that gets erased in the memories. Let's never erase anybody in the movement. Let's never erase anyone who made a selfless contribution. Amandla! Amandla!
Thank you so much, Phumi. That was mouthful. And you might be asking yourselves, why did I stand here throughout Phumi's talk? This is what we call solidarity. We do not encourage pushing from behind, because sometimes you might push a person and not knowing that they are approaching a hole. So it's best if you walk along the person and you are able to communicate with each other. This is what we do, this is what we mean. Thank you so much, Phumi, for that. And I think all of us, as we go out of here, in our different understandings and different translations of the message you are giving us, we will not forget that key to this is understanding what exclusion feels like. Exclusion because you're poor, exclusion because of your status, exclusion as a result of your race, exclusion because of class, exclusion because you belong to a particular population that the society does not want to recognize. You are excluded because you're queer. Those are some of the issues that we need to learn to understand and not learn to respond, because sometimes that's where we miss the point. Thank you so much again, Phumi, for that. A round of applause for her. The second person on our program is Gugu Dlamini, but I will not call on her now, because we have a very short, sorry, Mandisa Dlamini, because we have a very short video of Gugu Dlamini, that's why the name came up. Yeah, so we will play that, and then after that she will come on the stage. Over to you.
Thanda nje phathaphuthu yami useThekwini, thanda nokuklina endlini nje, engafuni nje engazwani nento engcolile, ethetha-ke futhi. Ngiyamthanda futhi ngangimthanda futhi namanje ngisamthanda.
She told me, she came and said, Sisi, I'm HIV positive and I'll be come forward to telling the people the truth, to help them. And I met a lot of people, they got the same thing I got, but they looked healthy. They told me that it's helping to come forward.
If I can lose my eyes or lose my ears or nose or what, can you run away from me? She asked me like that. All the people must be aware about this thing, because that disease is dangerous. So if you don't care about that, you will die. She used to talk to the people like that.
She was not talking about her, you know, and her needs as a person that is living with HIV. You know, she was disclosing because she was, you know, like strengthening education.
It was so difficult.
she went on radio. She was threatened. There was no support, and then she disclosed on Well AZ event that was held on the 26th. She said that there were threats, but there was no support. There was no one to take that up.
People around in the area there accuse her of the image of the place is damaged through her coming out clearly to say she is HIV positive.
They don't want her to touch them or to drink together with them.
Since she accepts this, Gugu, she was look lovely. I think maybe they're jealous because I don't know. True, it's just too big. They're cruel.
Okay.
She reported to the police that she's being threatened, but there was no action.
Ngakuthi ngangingekho nami ngezwe sengibizwa kwathiwa nangoma uselimele phezulu sasesaya siyombheka samficulele omunye umuzi bamlalisile bamthatha la elimalele khona bamfaka endlini base bamlalisa yeke safika sesomlanda samthatha yeke samletha ekhaya ekseni ngathi ngiyavuka kuthiwa usehambile bamsesibhedlela bamuse ePholike bamdlulisele eKingedwat base bemse kweNtwele wala sathi siyaya noma mkhulu kulesithathu kathiwa ushone ngomsongluko asekuyabuya ekuzoshola ekhaya ngiphathe kangakahle ngaphatheka kabi wakuzwa lokho. Ngifisa ukufunda ngize ngiqede mase ngiqedile ngifundele ukuba social worker mase ngimdala ngibe nemoto yami nomuzi wami.
Gugu Dlamini uzulale ngoxolo wena Gugu Dlamini uzulale ngoxolo wena uzulale sekudala uzabala oba kudala uzabala Gugu Dlamini uzulale ngoxolo wena uzulale ngoxolo Gugu Dlamini uzulale ngoxolo wena uzulale ngoba kudala uzabala anguzwa ngoba kudala uzabala ayiwo Gugu Dlamini uzulale ngoxolo.
Siyabonga Mdletshe. Amandla. That video, it has stigma behind it. People still think I'm that 13-year-old. So whenever people see you and you say Mandisa, and they say, "Oh, Gugu Dlamini's daughter." I greet you all. I'm honored to be here. Wow, 20 years. Yeah, it was not easy, but hey, we made it. 20 years.
I remember when this day happened. It was the 17th of December. No, 16th of December, 98. When a message came that, come and fetch your dog. We are done with it. At that time, I was with my mother's boyfriend. He was waiting for her to come back. And we had to go, me and him, to see where she was. And I remember where she was sleeping. She was not moving, but she was breathing. And I remember waking her up, hoping she will tell me what has happened. You know, she will tell me, no, things will be okay. You know, it was just a small argument, but unfortunately, it never happened. I remember going to the neighbors and asking for assistance, and I was told, no, she was going to infect our cars. So I had to bath her myself, remove the blood from the scars, watch her while she slept until the morning. Finally, when the ambulance came, I was sleeping by then, but it was too late. She died a day or two after that. It was not easy.
I'm not crying because I'm sad. I'm crying because I'm happy that my mom didn't die in vain. If it wasn't for people like Mark, my mother in Pretoria, whom I met, I don't know how, but she adopted me. And everyone thought I was doing well in America. Only Mark and her knew I was in Pretoria. But he never told anyone. And I remember I said to Mama, Mama, you were there for me. I finished my studies. I went, I did financial management. You were there. You never asked for a cent. You don't even know me. How can I say thank you? Her words were, my baby, go back to that same community that killed your mom and look for other Mandisas like you and give them exactly what I gave you. And that is how I went back to KZN to forgive the killers because they were never arrested. I see them every day. I feed their kids. But what makes me happy is to know that their kids will never experience what I experienced. As painful as it was, but every time when I look at the work of Gugu Dlamini Foundation and I see these young people who are struggling and they are also victims of HIV and orphans of HIV, and I see them pushing and furthering their education, upskilling themselves and learning more. Thank you so much. I realized her death was not in vain. So it's been 20 years. All of the things I said in that video came to pass. I'm not a social worker, but my work is with my people. I am married, I have a car, and I have a home. So, 20 years later, good things came out of my mom and Mandisa. Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you so much to TAC for your support. Last but not least, the fight has not come to an end. I'm the chairperson of this structure called War Against Poverty, War Room in KZN. It's war against HIV and AIDS and war against poverty. Whenever we come with programs of HIV and TB, and you're sitting there chairing the meeting, you can't say much and you're listening to what council are saying, no program of HIV will come to my ward. Because these people are here to destroy the ANC. They are sent by the white people to give money to these poor blacks. And you watch opportunities and you watch programs that could benefit young women, you know, not allowed in some of the white communities in KZN, and you wonder, when will the struggle end? As I'm standing here, a young woman has been kidnapped by her so-called boyfriend. It's been 4 months now. The ward councillor knows, the police knows, but the ward councillor said, I'm very busy, I'm preparing for elections. I don't have time for you, Febe, who go and sleep around, and when they are in trouble, we have to intervene. TAC, we need you. And without you, we will not win the struggle. Thank you so much.
Let's give a round of applause, stronger than this one. Thank you. Thank you so much, comrade. I will not say much after this one, but that all of us must go home and digest and reflect on your role when it comes to HIV/AIDS, human rights, gender-based violence, stigma, discrimination, and everything else that is associated with that. Go back home and think if what you are doing is enough. Think if you are amongst the people that are rejecting people for knowing their status. Think if you are only meaningful when it comes to close family members and what happens next door is none of your business. And think, how can you meaningfully change the world? The world is your house, the world is your street, the world is your society. We have different levels of reach, but what can you do within with your reach? Thank you so much, Mandisa, for all those words. Mark, do you have any announcements? Okay. I will give to to DJ Loti over there. Yeah. What do you have for us?
Tina Sizwe.
process of the names going up the screen, can we ask all provincial chairpersons to take the stage? Because all the names that are appearing on the screen, these are our members, these are our families, but it is people that are led or have been led by the chairpersons we are calling to take the stand. There, but our chairpersons would read out all at once the names that they have. It won't be province by province, but all of them all at once. It's your moment.
Silo Mufulo, Faith from Katlehong North, David from Katlehong North, Matapelo, Raditsila, Lefu, General Mufukeng, Lazarus, Nkopane, Lungile Nkonde, Nati Siso, Kile Apile, Olani Mpo, Loti, Virginia Mnisi, Wake, Pangale, Pangalele, Prudence Mabele, Johanna Ngala, Sarah Hlalele, Christopher Muroka, George Chauke, Jemina Mukwena, Jeff Hadebe, Togo Kaba, Lydia Sipe, Tuli Hadebe, Edward.
Mtutuzi Yende, Sandi Somabuzo, Isaiah Sibiya, Simangele, Mashiko, Zinzi Mqina,
Fortunate
Zweli,
Kofu,
Dlangamandla,
Okwafazi, Eunice
Novile
Maluleke,
Msimango, Siza Ngubane,
Comrade
Zenzile
Garrett,
Lubisi,
Tandikwane,
Tulani Makhathini,
Juan Silas,
Lindiwe Makhanye,
Mateula Tsakani,
Nesi Ndlovu,
Mateula Lillian,
Simangele Mtshali,
Robert Mlasi,
Delisile Mabaso,
Fonishia Mhlari,
Muhle Sikhakhane,
Tsakani Zita,
Gugu Nhlabathi,
Lillian Ratitanga,
Sabelo Mabuza,
Elizabeth Matabata,
Ntomfuthi Mkhwanazi,
Anamutsi,
Mthunzi Modise,
Eric Mukari,
Busi Ntumbane,
Betty Matebula, Martha Moyenala, Ramusonga, Margaret Nkuna, Queen Mhlongo, Rose Mabwango, Mawelele Edina, Olga Mabasa,
Yoliswa Makhawu,
Hlungwane Grace,
Imkhitha Mafanya,
Mboni Mbanji,
Phumza Mafanya,
Mkateko Mabasa,
Nomkhango Tsembey, Zoleka Ntongolo, Lusapho Mchitheka, Thobeka Venge, Khanyiso Nqowene, Nobengazi Noriri Lamati, Siseko Mahlangabeza,
Mike Matyeni,
Phumeza Sadness,
Lona Mlofana,
Phumelela Napis,
Nozipho Sontange,
Phumeza Gqwekanake,
Vuyani Jacobs,
Nandipha Smith,
Pamela Njunje,
Sikelelwa Jaceni,
Lungile Mkhosana,
Nompumelelo Mni,
Thembela Myoka,
Bulelwa Kika,
Pheliswa Ngwayi,
Reverend Ronnie Qola,
Maphelo Yiga.
Amanda Tancu, Xolani Macholi, Ncedisi Stofile, Sive Rhoqo, Sipho Venchu, Simo Khweza, Xoliswa Mqikela, Zoliswa Matyumza, Kholiswa Sonzaba, Siyabulela Mvilisi, Thandiwe Sebeni, Bongiwe Maboyi, Bongiwe Mayibo, Stawu, Luvo Mathai,
Skipper Zungu,
Mthetheleli Sikhate,
Mbongeni Matheba,
Siphokazi Matha,
Mdungqongo,
Nontsikelelo Habe,
Sindi Dladla,
Zamokuhle Mdimba,
Sibukhanyile, Zakhele Xaba, Gugu Myeni, Noma Potoza, Thabo Cele, Nomthandazo Sishi, Thembe Nkosi Dlamini, Sithembiso Mkhize.
Thank you so much, comrades. We still have one more reading from Free State. Do you have your list? Okay. Free State is, they having some shells. So this is the names of the people that we have lost on our journey as TAC members, not because they died of HIV, but those that died on the struggle, supporting people living with HIV, leaving their families behind. But because in TAC, there is a saying in Xhosa, eti ijoni lifele emzabalazweni. All the names that have been read out here are the names of people that have played a role in TAC. Some of them died without having access to treatment. Some of them died as a result of car accidents. And some of them died as a result of other chronic diseases that they were not manageable at the time, or they did not get proper care services in our health systems. I would like to take this opportunity to recognize the names that were not read out here, the names of the people that we know that would have been celebrated here amongst the list that was shown up. But also, if you have a person that you know that their names were also supposed to be on the list, take a minute and write it on a piece of paper. There's going to be a chance where we ask people, if you have those names, to just stand up and read out those names. Because today is not just about the current and living and active members of the TAC, but it is also to respect those that supported us, that fought with us, that still compromised their families, because TAC was very important in their lives. Thank you so much for that, provinces. It is very emotional for all of us, because some of these people are our children, some of them are our parents, and some of them are our neighbors. And it's difficult to accept that you have lost a family member, especially when you know it was because of lack of care and lack of commitment. On that note, I would like our desk on my right to help us with a message or with a clip or with a song. But I'm recognizing now that when we were acknowledging people that are here, we did not recognize that in TAC, we have people with skills and talent. We had people that we called the generics. That was our choir. Some of us are members of that choir. But I am just raising that so we know that in the room, we have a group of people who are talented. I am not saying anything at this stage, but to recognize their presence here. Over to you, Lot.
Happy birthday. 20 years of fighting on the front lines to end the AIDS crisis, not through rhetoric, but through high stakes, savvy, direct action, policy work, bringing the voice and the rage and the demands of communities of people living with HIV in South Africa and around the world right to the doorstep of decision makers in South Africa, in Geneva, in Washington, D.C., and all over the world. I'm Asia. I'm the executive director of Health Gap. This is my son, Volta, and we're proud to be supporters and comrades joining TAC in the struggle since 1998, when TAC was born and when Health Gap was born. We have seen victories, we've seen defeats, and I have never been prouder to be part of an organization that's able to be a partner and to be a co-conspirator with such an incredibly dedicated, talented, and effective group of people living with HIV, and people willing to put their bodies on the lines and to wake up every day and fight like hell for our comrades who are dead and for those who are living. TAC, you've been on the front lines of every single health justice battle that matters for the last 20 years. And I wish you a happy birthday, not just from me, but for everyone in Health Gap's family and network around the world. And I know that we'll be together as long as there's still unjust, lack of access to medicines, campaigns to fight, we'll be together fighting on the front lines. So enjoy the day, enjoy the march, keep fighting back, knowing we'll be there fighting back with you for as long as it takes and whatever it takes. Viva Treatment Action Campaign. Viva.
TAC has been a pioneer in HIV activism in Africa and in the Global South in general. Your treatment literacy mobilization, your social media campaigns, your public protests, your legal challenges until your famous HIV positive t-shirt has inspired all of us in our fights. Today, funding is dwindling. Some would say activism is dying, but HIV is still on the rise. Organizations like TAC are needed now more than ever. While huge progress has been made, the AIDS response is being challenged and undermined by dysfunctional healthcare systems and shortages of healthcare workers. Now it is time to fix the broken public health systems, not to mention to ensure access to affordable treatments for all other diseases. We need to grow more issue-based organizations like TAC to ensure that activism does not die, and we challenge policies and decisions that perpetuate the rise in HIV incidences. Dear comrades, keep fighting. Viva TAC.
Thank you so much. I'm back on the stage. We're taking a short break. I have 3 more messages of support from our partner organizations. We have Equal Education, we have Section 27, and we have MSF. We'll give each one of them 2 minutes because we recognize it's late in the evening, but we still want to hear those. But Patrick, wake us up for a second.
Lelilizwe lokoko bethu, lelilizwe labantu abamnyama. What's our message? Lelilizwe thambo, lelilizwe labantu abamnyama, lelilizwe thambo, lelilizwe labantu abamnyama, lelilizwe lokoko bethu, lelilizwe labantu abamnyama. Amandla hayesaba magwala hawuhe hayesaba magwala hawuhe hawushaya mabhujwa hawushaya mabhujwa hawushaya mabhujwa hawushaya mabhujwa. Hawe mama ngekele ngifuna ukubisosh. Hawe mama ngekele ngifuna ukubisosha. Esebhami into encane makarovu abebhami into encane hi-AK. Hawe mama ngekele anguzi. Hauhe, hawe mama ngekele, hauhe, esebhami into encane, makarovu, esebhami into encane, makaro, amandla.
Thank you. My name is Munyana Rujeje. I'm the Deputy Director of Section 27, and it's my privilege to give a message of support from Section 27. Yes, thank you. Section 27 has been a sister organization to TAC since its inception, and we congratulate the TAC for 20 years of struggle in the service of the poor. We work with the TAC as lawyers and as comrades to fight for medicines, for ambulances, and for women to bear children safely and with dignity. TAC has been an inspiration to us at Section 27 and to activists working on access to treatment, not only for HIV, but for mental health, for cancer, for diabetes, and for access to healthcare services all over the country. Importantly, TAC's work has reached activists all around our beautiful continent and amongst comrades around the world. The spirit of TAC activists is heard in song and in words and in the actions of those brave people who sacrifice every day for the sake of others. In speaking truth to power, our comrades speak for us all. And without their voices, our democracy would be weaker. Our constitution would mean less in the face of the challenge of corruption, of abuse of power, and of the neglect of our public office bearers. Our people would be less empowered to vindicate their own rights. TAC continues to give hope to all who care about the realization of universal human rights. The world needs TAC. Here's to another 20 years of inspirational activism. Long live TAC, long live.
Thank you, well said. For those who do not know, Umunyana is our Deputy Director at Section 27. Thank you, Umunyana. I'll call now Equal Education to give a brief message, and while Jill gets ready. Yeah.
Engalendwe siyenzayo asina engalendwe siyenzayo engalendwe siyenzayo engalendwe siyenzayo engalendwe siyenzayo engalendwe siyenzayo naluvalo uvalo lona tololo uvalo lona tololo engalento esiyenzayo alo amandla uvalo lona tololo engalento esiyenzayo naluvalo ngalwento esiye. Viva TAC, viva. Lengoma maqabana kunyanzele akumelanga basicule ngathi secaweni ne. But I'll take responsibility as umuntu beyiqalile ne. I think I'm wholly overwhelmed by my time spent in celebrating the 20 years of TAC. So ndinazenda uzoyikukhala ne. But I've been mandated by the National Council of Equal Education to come and celebrate the 20 years of TAC namhlanje. And I hope that we understand into yokubana ngalento siyenzayo ngezinto sizimeleyo because of our identities. Nendawo esiphuma kuzo nomzabalazo wethu asinavalo. And therefore the work of TAC will continue till infinity. Nabazi ngathi zilunga imeko esizilwelayo esizabalazelayo. Then if anything, we must stay as a political home, a sense of identity and grouping. Yabantu ababhadlileyo abafuna into ezinhle for abantu babo. Amandla! Kawethu ngengani? Nangu umcimbi igama lami nguNoncedo Madubedube ndisuka kwa Equal Education, General Secretary wakhona. In our offices, I'm going to try code switch. Ne? I did explain I'm overwhelmed, therefore what is not the mother of my tongue won't come first out of my mouth. Ne? In our offices in Cape Town, there's a small portrait of Prudence Mabele with 9 other women. And Ella Donga, we made it to resemble resistance and strength and charisma of women that have fought the resistance in South Africa. So it's something that we try to channel as we do our day-to-day work as the women that head up that organization, Namhlanje. So Namhlanje, I want to channel the spirit of Upru and other women, and I'm happy that there were names going up the screen in Goku that have made and formed the TAC to what it is today. And I'm channeling the spirit of Sipho Mthathi as well as I stand here today. Equal education, comrades, is a movement of thousands of learners across this country. You know? And what we represent is not just equalizers that call themselves, but these are young, organized people in our country in a post-apartheid state. And what we represent is the voice of mass of youth in these communities. And the reason I'm sharing this is not because in Basela as equal education, but rather I want to say that the intentions and the demands are intersectional in nature, and that has come out from izinto besithethwa ngabantu apha when they speak and reflect about umsebenzi nabantu bakwa TAC. But the reason I share it mostly is because TAC earthed equal education. The footprints and the foot soldiers and are the reasons that we exist today. And the manner to our way of organizing, of holding each other is resemblance of what happens here and what's made this movement for the last 20 years. So silapha is abantwana benu, for lack of a better word. We've seen also Nandi based in Cape Town, so many TAC leaders, members, Zakwa TAC have gone on to form different and head up other organizations in their own communities, which goes to show that the lessons learned from building this movement and this unit and the struggle is not lost to just TAC as well. And we want to be able to do the same things with Abandon Abako Equal Education or Makaban, that we walk these paths with and make sure that we're sowing a generation and a legacy of constant struggle and resistance for inclusivity, if anything else, and inequality in a country that lacks just those things. We want to say Nkos to TAC. We want to say Phambili ngomzabalazo Makabani. Go beyond the politics. Abantu xa bethetha nge-civil society as South Africa, they talk about us as instruments that work within the state to destabilize. But abayazi into yobana ii-formations zethu imbang basilile namhlanje is because our energies go beyond the state. Sibona ikusasa that isn't confined to banothi masenze ntoni, but rather what our emancipations allow us to become. And I think we mustn't forget as you struggle into the next 20 years of umzabalazo. But I think manibulele and say, Amandla! Kawenu ngenkani.
Kawethu ngenkani. Kawethu ngenkani. Thank you so much, Noncedo, for that. On our list, we are left with Jill from MSF. My brother, you'll keep on your lane, you stand on your own.
I knew you were going to ask something last minute. And thank you for inviting me. And I wasn't sure whether you invited me because the invitation letter said Sipho Mthathi. And I don't think I look too much like her. But TAC has inspired me when it gave the hope to the world that a small number of disempowered people with HIV could have a vision that reached beyond their own circumstances, moved by the knowledge that one should be allowed to take away the right to a long, no one should be allowed to take away their right to a long, healthy life. Not even the monopoly power of big pharma or that of a delusional state, too arrogant to listen to the people it is supposed to serve. And then TAC had the power to communicate this vision to tens of thousands, some say millions, and confirm the hope that the people, when they unite, can still have the power to change the course of history. I've admired and loved TAC for that vision, for the courage of many of you facing jail, some even death, and their selflessness, fighting for all instead of just oneself. TAC has also given me great sadness when patients, friends, comrades died, some of them because they stopped taking treatment, reminding us that a key part of the struggle to come is to keep people on treatment, to find better ways to support them to stay on treatment, and to welcome them back into services once they have interrupted treatment without stigmatizing them for that. I started in Kailicha. My job today brings me to Congo and to Mozambique, where I see AIDS the way we saw it in Kailicha 15 years ago. And we have to look beyond South Africa. West and Central Africa is still as we were here 15, 20 years ago. The task ahead is bigger than the 20 years ago. And TAC is almost as small, slightly bigger than it was 20 years ago. To change history again, we need unity and we need legitimacy. This will require us to have a hard look at ourselves and to make alliances rooted in solidarity, because the powerful divide and rule, and they use the fragmentation of civil society only through building bridges can we overcome these divisions. Only through the power of a broad-based coalition did we achieve the successes we have. And the greatest joy and lesson that TAC gave me is that we can work together. Let's do it again. Amandla.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jill, for that. We have come to an end of this session, but I am not going to be the one to officially close it. But as we had remembered Simon's life and Gugu's life, let us also remember the grannies, the grandfathers, family members that are back at home, still alive, looking after their grandchildren that lost their parents to HIV, to TB, to cancer, to every other disease that was not treated in their own selves. But also recognize members and families that had given their resources and space to TAC in order for us to do our work. Because if we remember the last bullet on our pledge, it read that we pledge with time, with energy, with resources to make sure that TAC's vision and mission is accomplished. I will hand over to our chairperson, Sibongile, to do what we are supposed to do. I was only asked to facilitate this session. A round of applause to me.
Tina sodlala sisho Tina sod noma kunzima bafa noma msala uqala ndlala amadrum ngakaculi sisho ngenkane Tina sisho ngenkane Tina noma kunzima bafa noma kunzima bafathi sisho ngenkane Thina so sisho ngenkane Thina noma kunzima bafa. Prepare yourself. Noma kunzima bafa sisho ngenkane Thina Sam sisho ngenkane Thina noma kunzima bafa noma kunzima bafa. Beat your drum. Sisho ngenkane Thina sisho ngenkane. Beat the drum. Noma kunzima bafa noma. Beat the drum. Sisho ngenkane Thina Sishonge ngane tsena Noma kunzima bafa Noma kunzima bafa Sishonge ngane tsena Sishonge ngane tsena Ayo Noma kunzima bafa Noma kunzima bafa Sishonge ngane tsena Sishonge ngane tsena Noma kunzima bafa Noma kunzima bafa Sishonge ngane tsena Sishonge ngane tsena Noma kunzima bafa Awuritha sandla sami Noma kunzima bafa Sishonge ngane tsena Sishonge ngane tsena Noma kunzima bafa Noma kunzima bafa Tsena solana Sishonge ngane tsena Katsel Noma kunzima bafa Noma kunzima bafa Sishonge ngane tsena Beat Sishonge ngane tsena So Noma kunzima bafa Noma kunzima bafa Amandla 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 Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You're so wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. There's food organized for you. Can you? There's food for you. Amandla! Can you just repeat? Amandla! Amandla! Our guest, I would like to thank you, all of you, to sit down a bit. We know that some of you have to leave. Age is catching up with you. We would like to continue to send our thanks to you and availing yourself. It means a lot. We have prepared something small for you to eat. Our marshals will take you to the dining area. For us, all of us, we will continue to have our drums while we are wrapping up this session. This session was a bit sad, with joy, and it was a mixed motion in every, yeah, not mixed feeling, mixed motion, yeah, session. But it was it is important to have it because we need to remind ourselves where we're coming from. And in the next session, we'll be talking about our future. Where do you want to see ourselves in the next 20 years of tech?
So in those words, comrades, I will ask the drummers to continue entertain us and while we are having some snack. Thank you very much. Amandla!
Amandla! Bopa, 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 bopa. Awikale madoda. Sekusele kancane mangingena.
Sekusele kancane masingene. Sekusele kancane masingene. Sekusele kancane. Singene kulo mnyango. Sekusele kancane. Sekusele kancane. Sekusele kancane masi